President Trump shining a spotlight on a major milestone for our veterans. Just announced that veterans' unemployment has reached an 18-year low. Really good news for our vets and their families. We'll soon be at an all-time low. Do you think the media will report on this and all of the other great economic news? That was the president. Let's go to our headliner. Secretary of Veterans Affairs Robert Wilkie joins us. Mr. Secretary, thank you for coming on America's Newsroom this morning. This is good news.
Thank you for having me. It's
18-year low for our veterans' unemployment rate.
That's right, and going down. I mean, we're now at 3.2% for men who are veterans, and now we're at 2.3% for women. So it is really the best unemployment news for America's warriors in 40 or 50 years.
Sorry, Sandra, go ahead.
To what or to whom do you give credit for that drop?
Well, I give credit in a couple of places. First of all, America recognizes what our veterans bring to the table. They bring discipline. They bring a sense of service that, is not found in many places in any society. They come with a set of skills that are absolutely vital in this 21st century economy. The other thing that other place I give credit is the president. The president is the first president really since the end of World War II who made the condition and the care of veterans and the promotion of veterans the centerpiece of his campaign. Never seen anything like it, and he's carried that forward and empowered the Department of Veterans Affairs to undergo the greatest transformative period in our history.
Yeah, I'm just going to read a little bit from your letter, then we'll get to two other topics here. On unemployment, you write, veterans' unemployment rate is lower than the national average, in part because companies often look to hire veterans for complex and demanding jobs, citing their leadership and work ethic, and you just talked about that. There are still challenges, with the VA and deal with our veterans. There was a story here about the progress we're making on suicide prevention on veterans.
Yes.
This is so sensitive and so delicate. What can you bring to our audience on that today, sir?
Well, I bring the commitment of the President and the Department of Veterans Affairs to tackle this national tragedy. Every day, 20 veterans take their own lives, but 14 of those veterans are outside of the Department of Veterans Affairs. Yesterday, I spoke to the Alaska Federation of Natives. Over half of the veterans in the state of Alaska are not in our system. And I asked that group to help us, along with the governor of Alaska, to find veterans and get them into our system and get them the attention that they deserve. But right now, thanks to a presidential executive order, we have in place a transition plan that takes our veterans as they come out of active service and gives them access to our VA programs, our mental health programs. We're even offering those to those who have left the service with an other than honorable discharge. But I also want to say something else. I was involved yesterday in a back and forth with one of our major governmental unions, perpetuating a very dangerous stereotype that this government shutdown will increase the number of veteran suicides. I cut my teeth in the age after Vietnam. I saw the effects of the popular culture that said that our veterans were coming home from Southeast Asia broken and in great trouble, and that was accentuated by movies like Coming Home and The Deer Hunter. I fired back at the unions for saying that. Our veterans, as you said, are out there, they're employed, they're contributing to society, they're not broke. This is not the 1970s when my own father, as a senior officer in the 82nd Airborne Division, wasn't even allowed to wear his uniform off the post in North Carolina back in those days.
You clearly feel very strongly about the progress that you are making as the Secretary of the VA. You've penned this piece published on FoxNews.com, Mr. Secretary. The VA is making real progress on suicide prevention for veterans. In that piece, you talk about the statistics. Tragically, an average of 20 veterans die by suicide each day. Of those 20, you write 14 have not received recent VA care. There are still huge challenges that you face at the VA. What are they?
Yeah, the challenges are outreach. We have, thanks to the President and to the Congress, a new budget, about $47 million when it comes to getting the message to our veterans across the country on the programs that are available at VA. Our Veterans Crisis Line receives about 2,000 calls a day, And we are also working with the governors and the localities. I was out in California a couple of weeks ago and had a very long conversation with Jerry Brown. A lot of the problems they have in the Golden State actually began when Lyndon Johnson was president. Many of those veterans who take their own lives are the products of that Vietnam era that I discussed. And we have to do our best to find them and to heal the wounds that began so many years ago.
It's an important message. Thank you for being a part of our show today, Mr. Secretary.
Well, thank you very much.